officially welcome all my panelists and hello audience. Thank you to our presenting sponsor Nickelodeon for supporting this webinar series. Now we are smack in the middle of the series. On Monday, we discussed ad rates and discounts. Yesterday, we discussed production and the filming aspect of the business. And today, this is the third webinar of our series. And today I look forward to a very lively discussion around the new language of advertising on television that we see, which basically means I want to look at the new pattern of advertising that is emerged on TV, and ask my panelists whether television commercials have a larger role to play today, one that serves more than just the brand, perhaps a category lift also, and maybe even beyond that, like a macro level lift of demand overall. So before beginning, I'd like to quickly introduce all my panelists one by one. I'll start with Pratyusha. Now, Pratyusha is the Chief Consumer Officer of the Zee Network. And I have to mention that before she joined the universe of broadcasting, she was in consulting, and before that, she was in marketing at Unilever. So welcome, Pratyusha. Next, I'll move to Vivek and Vikas. Now, Vivek and Vikas are very important on the panel because they are both very prolific television advertisers who have used the power of this medium in their careers in the past. Vivek is the Chief Marketing Officer of Pidilite, parent of Fevicol. And Vikas, of course, is the Head of Customer Marketing and Digital at Flipkart. Now, again, I have to mention over here that Vikas, before moving to e-commerce, has spent over 2 decades at Unilever. So welcome. And now moving to the advertising agency veterans on my panel, I'm pleased to introduce Josie and Amir. Now, Josie Paul is the chairman of BBDO India, and Amir is the Chief Creative Officer and Group Chief Creative Officer and Chairman at MullenLowe Lintas. Now, both of them have cut their teeth on television as a medium in their careers, and they both are creative supremos, and it's great that they are also chairman of the respective agencies that they're representing here. So welcome everybody once again. And audience, I'd like to just make a quick announcement here that please start putting in your questions as and when they strike, and I'll get to them at a later stage in the discussion. So you start punching them in and I'll keep looking at them. So I'd like to start with a quick round of opening remarks. We'll start with Pratyusha. Now, Pratyusha, we won't shoot the messenger, but we need someone to tell us, the bad news. So please walk us through, what has happened to the whole pattern of television advertising over the past 5 months, the dip after March, and then maybe the crest that we saw perhaps in June, if I'm right. And though there was no original content on TV, we are seeing some sort of revival now. So talk about the dip in AdX and what happened, the pattern.
Sure. I think let's call it everybody's been saying, oh, will the recovery be V? Will it be U? Will it be W? And all sorts of things. I want to talk about it as a V, the V, and the V as in the family with TV. Somewhere the AdX, you're right, the first half in that sense has been like a 39% dip overall AdX. And we've lost 14,000 crores, right? And that's not a small number to kind of pick up from. The thing that really happened is because TV is in that sense a steady state habit kind of medium, even for advertisers, the volumes didn't see such a big drop. It was still a 13% lower on ad volume, and the number of advertising clients was still a 10% lower. But I think the ticket sizes have gone down because I think clients are a little wary of investing the money and sparking demand when they're not sure how much of it they can fulfill, right? So that's really played a big role. Having said that, if you look at the larger context of media vehicles that were there, the Q2, which is the April, May, June quarter, TV share normally, which TV AdX share used to be around 40-41%, went up to a 51%. I think all advertisers voted on the most trusted medium in that sense. It also helped in a big way that the elephant danced. A 600 million category grew, at a 27% overall in the quarter. That's like a huge growth. And I think advertisers wanted to be on that platform that was exploding. So TV managed to get to a 51% share. And the predictions say that second half is going to be like a 60 to 75% growth over first half. But however, it's reset the category, right? We've gone back to like a 2017-18 levels. So in that sense, we have miles to go in terms of recovery. But I think the good thing is that advertisers have stayed on the platform. The volumes have stayed. The value is what needs to be brought back. And June's been a good month. June 2019 is June 2020 is equivalent to those levels, and we're seeing it going up in July. And we are looking at the ticket sizes returning in a big way during festive.
Okay.
So that's really the ADEX view.
Great. No, thank you. Someone had to. So thank you. Thank you for that, Pratyusha. Vivek, I'll come to you. As a marketer, I want to understand from your point of view whether television now has a larger role to play in stimulating demand, in sort of just nudging the viewer back into the consumption cycle. Are you looking at it that way? Has TV taken on this larger role and to get us all back to the path to purchase?
The short answer is TV will have a role to play in revival of demand and nudging the consumers, but the role it will play will not be the same role as it used to play in previous years. And let me elaborate on that. See, in these times, three things have changed, which is ABC of consumers. The attitudes have changed due to COVID, behaviors have changed, and consumption has changed. And that is what has led to many marketeers, actually some categories growing beyond the norm, like FMCG, health and wellness, e-com, insurance, and IT. But there are many categories which are not growing and they have shrunk because consumption, travel, hospitality, you can count so many things. Now, what we have to see is, before we talk of role of television, what we have to see is that what will be role of communication which marketers will utilize to nudge the consumers. What is that we have to do with the categories? Now, with the categories which are already on a roll, which have momentum, the task with TV will be to continue the momentum and capture the growth and the market shares, because the big brands are actually gaining share on behalf of small brands. So that momentum, big brands and marquee brands will continue. But the categories which are not growing, like four-wheelers, two-wheelers, hospitality, luxury, durables, okay, now they would like to come back because two things have happened which are the tailwinds, which is one is festival is coming, but despite COVID, Indian consumers will come out and celebrate and spend. And second is rural consumption is increased because of the distribution of the monies by government or by good sowing and good monsoons. In this context, the categories which are going to stage a comeback, their role will be to remind consumers about their existence, which will be the role will be salience. But there'll be many categories which will come back again and redefine the role of brands in their life and educate them. The role of the immunity boosting products like Chyawanprash or health products, they will do a different job. So, and there'll be some categories which will assure consumers, which is the insurance or IT, saying that we have a role to play and may continue. So for safety's sake, we should be considered. So I think in this context of role of communication, TV will play actually a leading role. I think because still TV is the lead communication medium for many categories, and since demand is going to come mostly from the small town and rural areas where TV still holds a commanding share of media, because the advertising reach of TV is still the highest and it's still the cheapest. I think the changing role of TV we will see is that TV will have to be complemented with digital by marketeers. Also, many other mediums which are were at a command, like cinema, outdoor, activation, they are less available for practical reasons. Right. So the role of TV will increase.
Yeah.
And last but not the least, we as marketeers, because of supply situation discrepancies and uneven supply and demand situations in many states, our marketing campaigns will often be regional and local in nature in various states. So therefore, TV will have to adopt a regional shape and cater to the regional campaigns far more. and adapt to ensure that the regional demand of the brands is met through various programs and vehicles.
Fantastic. Thank you, Vivek. A lot of points there. We'll come back to those as the discussion takes a life of its own. But for now, I'll move on to Vikas for his opening remark. Now, Vikas, wonderful to have you here because, you know, e-com has played a very significant role in getting consumers back into the consumption cycle in the worst phase of the lockdown. And it's particularly interesting for me because e-com is like a conduit for other categories to get their distribution back on track. And it's a category unto itself with all the trappings of branding and advertising. So do put this whole subject through your Flipkart sieve and through the larger category sieve of e-com and tell us about the larger role this has to play in the context of TV advertising.
Thank you, Ashwini. First of all, thank you for having me here on the panel. Yeah, it has been very interesting times, if I can just, say something obvious. I think from a position where e-commerce was another channel where people could access, products and services to becoming the channel during lockdown. I think it's almost overnight we were thrust with this responsibility, of being the essentials providers to the nation, right? And I think while there were a lot of changes which happened and which were meant to happen, for example, not all categories were open. We were only allowed to service, a very limited selection of items which were classified under essential goods. Our business model had to change quite dramatically because some of these items are low price items. The fulfillment costs and just the P&L mechanics of when you are let's say selling a mobile phone versus you're selling a mop to the house, that changes, and that means that you have to change things in the back end. We had to overnight adapt to new SOPs of social distancing, hygiene. We had to bring back all our delivery infrastructure, and that this was in the context of a lot of people who had already gone back to their hometowns, etc. And I'm really proud of the way the whole Flipkart organization and the whole Flipkart family rose to this challenge in a very responsible manner. Just to talk about a few things, we took on this responsibility of being the essentials providers to the nation very seriously. And we said, how can we enable the sellers? And the number of sellers which have come on board, which, typically wouldn't have come on board because they had thriving business with, physical businesses with footfalls happening in their shops.
Sure.
And suddenly,
because talk about the role that TV had played in this bit, the role that TV advertising played.
See, I think, and it is in phases, Ashwini. I think in the first couple of months, probably the role of TV was not as prominent because what was happening is that people were struggling and there was so much of demand for new things. I think we were just trying to make sure that we are able to maintain, that kind of, we are just able to service that demand. We are able to meet people's expectations. And not only were people looking for, existing customers were looking for more categories and more products. A whole lot of people who were on the fence earlier and people were, and those are the people that we were attracting and those people wanted to buy on e-commerce. So I think at that time, it was not so much about marketing. It was really about how can we adapt to this new reality? How can we adapt our business models? How can we adapt our ecosystem, whether it is suppliers or, forward logistics, all of that, to make sure that we are servicing that demand to the consumers.
Absolutely. So because I will come back to you with the first time adopters because I'm very curious about how going forward you will address them in your TV commercials because so far your commercials address the established shopper and now you have to change your tack a little bit. So I'll get to that. Yeah, but a quick opening remarks from Josie and Amir first and we'll come back. So Josie, Amir, I'm really curious to know whether you look at the TVC differently today. Are you lensing your job any differently now as opposed to pre-March? Has your approach changed?
Amir, you want to go first or?
Josie.
Josie, you go first.
Okay. So, I mean, just broadly speaking, before I get to that point, is that I still believe that TV creates collective consciousness and is a very powerful medium that can change the sentiment, create positive sentiment, change the energy. I think the important thing is to really move from television and have a bit more vision. It's just that we are looking at TV the same old way. I find our conversations with some clients to be the same level. While where we are trying to push products, we're trying to be desperate, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, versus being more invitational. I think TV today, for me personally, needs to borrow from social media. It needs to be more two-way, more interactive, more immediate, and create relevance. I mean, that's what social media tries to do. It tries to create relevance through dialoguing and showing you the possibilities of things that don't feel so essential, but maybe they are essential. And when we speak of essentials, what is essential? And what is the medium that allows us to have that dialogue? And if TV can be that way, it would be great. And we're trying to do that with some of the work we're doing on television.
Okay.
Consumers, we believe, are very open. And so, you know, there's no better time than now to kind of have a dialogue even through TV, not just social media.
Okay, cool. We'll get to the details in a bit, but opening remarks from Amir, are you lensing your job differently? Do you see the television commercial differently today in terms of the role it has to play?
Not really very differently, but I just wanted to elaborate. In the time that is coming, we are going to see both the sort of ways that television will work for us. One is immediacy, because there's so much pent up demand in the country. There's going to be a lot of advertising on television that's going to take advantage of that pent up demand. So that immediacy, I feel, will get delivered by television, and television does that. You know, now festival season is coming, promos will come, offers will come. A lot of immediacy of demand will happen, and that will happen. The biggest way that will happen will be through television, obviously. And that's going to be a huge sort of stimulus for the economy. That's number one. Number two, I think there is I think Vivek was saying, but there is a huge other side to television advertising. I think, you know, Josie was also indicating that building, long-term work. I mean, what else can do long-term work better than television? So that's the second aspect of it. You know, based on what we just saw, the lockdown period, the pandemic, all of the issues, you know, collectively we have lived through one kind of sort of situation. I feel that our work is going to be split into two, and audiences are going to see it in that way.
Okay.
I think one is opportunity. You know, if you have, if you're going to sell, payment gateway of some kind, right? And you're going to say is a more safer way than dealing with cash. That's opportunity, and people will welcome that. You know, and all kinds of opportunity of that kind will be welcome. The other, I think, which is a little bit more sort of see-through or blatant, could be opportunistic, right? So usually what happens is that when people live through this kind of a, collective sort of history of some kind, then everybody tends to do the same kind of work and tries to build on the same kind of history, right? And then consumers and audiences start to see through the whole thing, and that looks opportunistic, and I think that will get rejected in a big way.
Oh, absolutely. There are plenty of examples, where opportunistic ends and opportunistic begins. If we start with that, I mean, we won't be able to stop. But so I'll go back to Vikas at this point. Vikas, do tell us about the new first-time user of e-commerce and how you will talk to this new pool that you have discovered since March. And you also said that in the beginning, TV was not a big factor. So do address the media mix going forward.
Because
Sorry, you're muted.
Yeah, I think first of all this discussion that we are doing, while there has been a 3 month of abnormality, I think we have to see as a longer term trend. And this is a blip, and it presents its unique challenges and opportunities. But I think if you look at from an e-commerce perspective, I think for the last decade, all the players have been trying to educate people, create the relevance of this channel, how convenient it is, how you get great selection, how you get great value. It's really bringing world-class shopping experience, which Indians haven't had, through the traditional channels. So it is that journey which has been happening. And you can imagine, there is an adoption curve. There are people who are coming, who are ahead of the curve, who are buying many categories, people who are coming, just tipping their toes, maybe buying one category and then going away. People who are coming on the platform, browsing a lot, but still not feeling comfortable, and just browsing and then going away. And then there is a whole section of people who are not even coming on the platform.
Right.
So if you just see it as a one continuous curve, I think the media mix has been different, and for a long period of time, how do we talk differentially to these people? Yeah. If I talk about people who are already on my app, the number of touch points I have to influence their behavior, their attitudes, their desires, it is exponentially more than what I can do on a mass media, broadcast media, like TV, right? But at the same time, if I look at people who are still behind in terms of their adoption of the new channel, you will want to talk about, very, very simple market development messages about what is e-commerce, what are the benefits, taking care of their fears, talking about the triggers, overcoming barriers. So it's very conventional, simplistic messages that you have been giving, and you want to accelerate that.
Right.
I think what the COVID pandemic has done, and which is the additional touch that we need to bring, and I'll give you an example. In June, we started this new campaign with Mr. Bachchan, which was the Shabash India campaign, where what we tried to do is, we were just coming out of the first stage of lockdown, where all of us felt like that we have been imprisoned for no fault of our own, right? And we just wanted to legitimize that, it is okay to give yourself a pat on the back. You've been so good, go ahead and make that spend. And it was in the spirit of legitimizing that spend. So there was an element of reviving the demand, but at the same time, there was a message to people who were still unsure of whether I should go into this new channel, etc., or not, to say that, hey, you have a need of a mobile phone because it's broken. You have a need of a new oven because you're experimenting with making new food in your kitchen. Yeah. While you may not meet your boyfriend or girlfriend, but you're still talking. So why not dress up a little better? So just legitimizing their needs and and not feeling bogged down.
Right. So
this whole pandemic piece. So
TV as a medium for all those almost back to basics kind of messages, right? Vivek, why don't you come in here, because your product is so different from Vikas's, but the media mix question, of course, applies equally to you. So going forward, what's the media mix like? And Pratyusha, you too, because I remember we spoke before this. We spoke yesterday, and you said brands are still in crisis mode, and they're going to have to make some very tough choices. So talk about what those tough choices will be, and where TV will figure in terms of understanding the value they're going to get out of it.
So I'll wait for Vivek to speak.
Yeah, please, Vivek.
So if you're talking of media mix, see, media mix depends on the target audience you are targeting. Now, I think all of us are speaking a lot about for first-time users. And for many categories, we have to target them a lot in the coming few months, whether it is e-learning portals, whether it is health and hygiene products, where we need to change behavior and habits of consumers, or we need to get first-time adopters of insurance because they're not doing insurance. And a lot of insurance brands are using these times to get people to get into the category to take health and life insurance. I think in these, for first-time users, if your user is not digitally active and savvy, you have to take television, because that is the default go-to medium, and that has a fantastic reach. That goes without saying. The second, I think, second factor choice of media is that if you're not targeting your first-time users, is where your new users are residing. If are they residing in urban area, are they residing in small towns and rural areas? For many categories, the revival is demand is through low priced SKU and small towns. And we are seeing the differential growth rates of our categories, and many categories that it's higher in rural areas and small town areas. While there is penetration of social media and mobile phones, the advertising reach of the social media is not yet high. Therefore, TV becomes a very, I would say, effective medium to target them. I think all of us are speaking of one thing which I would like to target is what kind of messaging do we give? Okay, what Amir and Josie are talking. See, in these times, brands can adopt an assuring tone, or can adopt an educative tone, or can adopt a scary tone that they can scare that this can happen to you. I think, except for the categories where an element of fear is required to instill new habits and behavior, like hand sanitizers, etc. There also, it depends how much of fear do you want to use. My belief is a positive, reassuring message tonality will really help in revival of demand better than actually scaring the consumers. Since we are educating the consumers, we have to go through positive route. A lot of people are coming through tough times economically, physically, emotionally.
Yeah.
Therefore, our tonality has to be positive.
Absolutely.
And last but not the least, as I said, it depends on the TG. If my TG in media mix, suppose I'm targeting young for luxury brands or for e-learning brands, my target is parents who are adopting e-learning portals for children, and they're digitally very active. My default go-to medium will be digital. So there's no gainsaying the fact. But as long as I'm targeting first-time users, as long as I'm targeting users residing in small towns, I will go to television. And let's not forget, television gives a sense of normalcy and a positive feeling and a scale in minds of consumer. And all of us marketers recognize that.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, it's part of my job to look at advertising on a daily basis. And I sit with my team every morning and we look at ads. And ads that don't in some way capture the zeitgeist of our times. We have a conversation that goes, maybe they made this ad before March and they're just releasing it now. Should we cover it? So it's almost as though, the communication has to in some way placate or address the anxiety or educate. But Pratyusha, what are the tough media choices that brands will have to make?
No, I was just reflecting, and your thing was about the new language of advertising on TV. And I thought, let me actually hit at the heart of what's the lingo normally around when you're talking about TV advertising. And I heard that from the panel too. So let's do some myth busting, okay? Usually, TV conversations are all about one dimension of, it's a brand building long-term medium, yeah? Myth one, completely to be busted, and I'll talk about why not that, because there is, and I'll give an example of stuff that we've done during COVID as Z ourselves, right? What was the biggest new category that happened because of COVID? You had to tell people you had to wash hands, and it had to happen within a week. Like the entire nation had to have a behavior change, right? So we did this, in fact, in partnership with a low team here, pause the content. It's a hand wash break that we did on content.
Okay.
Everybody was saying, "Hath do." It's like attitude, and we'll tell that message. We just said, pause it. They'll just go wash their hand and come back. The moment you do behavior change, automatically the attitude change happens, and you got that happening in March, yeah. So you've had a big behavior, and then the next big behavior is people had to bloody stay at home, yeah. And you've entertained through TV, like 600 million people just stay at home because I'm entertaining you. So it's not a long-term brand building medium. Just the old languages. TV is a long-term brand building medium. I think marketers need to look at it as the immediacy, the behavior change, and the scale of impact that I can achieve through TV. So that's one very, very strong thing that I would kind of personal experience as a marketer and as the media platform. The second big thing, when the money is so tough, and we were chatting about this even before, can you afford to advertise in multiple different media and try to convince, before this I was in insurance, will I advertise on newspaper to convince the man of the house he needs to invest and do a separate communication on TV and separate communication on digital for the younger person? Because what we've seen, TV has always been that medium, but what we've seen during the lockdown period, and it's sustained now, is the entire family is watching together. So will you convince the entire family at one go by putting out the right communication there, versus will you splinter your media monies in 2 or 3 other media where you're having to convince the man separately, the woman separately, the kids separately, versus, all of us when we give the media brief, we say female plus 15 ABC. I think marketers need to rethink that language to the family as a unit, because the ROI then is phenomenal, because the home is convinced. Mind you, the money is so short and they're taking decisions for home, not as a one for me, one for you, one for somebody else. Yeah. The third thing, and thanks to, I think, Vivek, who brought that up, saying the influencer social kind of conversation that happens, right? One perspective which most people don't think about it that way. Who are influencers on digital? They are these micro influencers. Either I'm a beauty influencer, I'm a tech influencer, I'm a health influencer. But think of the TV characters or protagonists which a person is meeting every night, yeah, or every day now. With the new, there is a new prime time during the day. So they are keeping half of the TV universe is coming every day, day in and day out, and meeting these guys every day. And we saw that even before we went into this period, that their influence is what we call the trust or emotional influence. It's like, आप कहते हो, आपकी family member कहते हैं, तो आप believe करते हो कि आपको ये करना चाहिए. And their social followership is in millions. It is sometimes in many regional markets, it's more than the film stars in that market. So they are somewhere not unattainable like the film stars, nor are they micro influencers like social. They are this place to convince your consumer towards your brand, and hence using the TV protagonists as influencers. And we saw Cadbury do that beautifully with a thank you campaign that we've done. So recapping the 3 very different ways of looking at the new language of TV. Do not look at it just as a long-term brand building media versus a immediate behavior impacting, large-scale behavior impacting media, whether I'm announcing, whether I'm trying to change something. Second, thinking of it as a family unit decision in this tough times. It will be, why don't you talk to the media which convinces the entire family rather than each individual? And the third, thinking of TV characters as influencers which really have the dialogue. It's not just, they have the interactivity on social, while the bonding happens on TV.
Thanks.
So that's the way I would.
Yeah, in fact, I'd like to add to this. Amir, I'll come to you because we spoke about TV as a long-term brand building medium, and etc. What about category creation? Because you created, you're making a campaign for Marico's solution to clean vegetables and fruits. Now that's a new thing. So talk about TV as a medium for category creation, and which mediums will supplement this? Because when was the last time we created a category for the first time? Maybe fintech, unless I'm missing something larger in the room, but how challenging is that, and what role does TV have there? Because the ad is not yet on TV, if I'm right.
A lot of categories are going to be created. The time that is coming now is completely, time for category creation. There are a lot of new products that are going to get launched, a lot of new behaviors that are going to be taken advantage of. So services, brands, products, huge amount of category creation is happening. And, it's not just about whether the medium is suited for it or not. It's also about pure numbers, right? So what can deliver pure numbers like that, and what can impact you collectively? Like, Pratyusha made this point that you're sitting there as a group of individuals. I firmly believe that advertising on television is like culture defining. It's a little different from targeted work. Targeted is personal, right? Advertising is in the air. It's that brand, that conversation is out in the air. It's for everybody to sort of imbibe, everybody to listen to. So it's a public conversation. And that changes a lot of things when category creation is involved, because you feel that you are being spoken to in a large sort of, it's like a town hall. A lot of people are there. Everybody is being spoken to. If everybody is being spoken to in the same manner, then obviously there must be something right with that, right? And that's a great point for category creation. So I feel that's one very important sort of point. I wanted to add to one, a new language that we sort of take advantage in our work on television. And adding to, Pratisha's point, is that we do a lot of triggering from television. And we have noticed that television triggering works very, very beautifully for us. For example, we have a client called Swiggy. Now, we do a dual purpose, on Swiggy. So we do IPL work on Swiggy. That work builds the brand because it's this quirky, humorous, young kind of sort of brand. The brand is getting built. At the same time, that there is a jugalbandi happening between television and your mobile device, right? So when Swiggy comes on television and it talks about, are you hungry? You want to eat this delicious little thing, gulab jamun, this, that, whatever. You feel like doing it. And what do? I mean, you reach your phone. So the task that is, Swiggy, we are able to attain for Swiggy is duofold, like that. Both things happen simultaneously.
Yeah, absolutely. So
one very interesting when Amit said this thing, right? When it happens on TV, why people feel like it's happening with them. Language hota na, we're very about boli. When it happens on films, जैसे फिल्मों में होता है, it's not natural. But जब TV पे दिखता है, अभी TV में भी तो दिखाने लग गए. That means it's happening at a large scale and in my drawing room. And the normalcy it gives, whether it's category building or saying, this is what you should be thinking. When it comes on TV, because of that context, it suddenly becomes, this is the thing to do. And not one attainable.
Right. Just add a point. This jugalbandi, which Amit spoke of with the TV, is very important because in these times where physical access is limited, the fulfillment is often happening through digital means for consumers. And therefore, the call for action from TV has to translate into digital medium for him to act. And often in this case, you can target the younger member of the audience through digital and do a generic messaging to all family through television. But I think complementing digital judiciously with TV is essential for us to get the ROI out of this medium, is what I will submit.
Okay, right. So just a quick reminder to the audience. I can see a lot of good questions coming in. Keep them coming. Keep putting your questions in the box. I want to go to Josie before I take any of the questions from the audience. Josie, we've forgotten now, but before March, we were in the middle of this brand activism phase, where every second brand out there, if not every brand, slapped on a cause. But now what's happened is we've sort of collectively pivoted towards this big common cause, this whole Suraksha narrative, right, which is happening. Brands are saying we're there for you. And two questions here for you, Josie, and of course everybody else also, that is that brand activism cosmetizing phase over? And is it a good thing that now we've collectively pivoted towards this common thing of we'll protect you, whether or not the category you belong to inherently gives any kind of protection?
I think it's not so much about cause, it was more about probably context. And I think that what this has done is converged it. It's made everyone aware of what it means to respond to context. Often, things like purpose and cause was being used rather broadly and confusing people. But it was really about brands responding to context, depending on how sensitive they are to society. Now here, context has been thrust on them. So you don't have to be sensitive anymore because it's on you. But in a way, it actually highlights the importance of context. And so going forward, I think there will be greater mindfulness to the change that's going on in society, and the ability of brands to respond to it. Forget words like cause and purpose. I think it's about responding sensitively and meaningfully to the goings on if you live in the middle of society versus living on the side and trying to make some money commercially.
Yeah, Amir started the whole thing with Jagore for Tata Tea, and then everybody else followed suit. So we can blame it on Amir.
I think before Jagore, the Lintas had already also done work with Unilever for other such brands, right, Amir?
Lifebuoy.
For
No,
the
no.
Little Gandhi campaign, but
I mean,
that was really beautiful.
yeah. We always had that streak. But look, whenever we thought about social good or purpose or cause like advertising, we were extremely selfish. We were very, very selfish about the cause of the brand, because for us it was not about doing good in the world. It was always that can the brand benefit by doing good in the world. And if it didn't have that sort of connection, and of course, television creates that kind of collective consciousness to have that, social conversation with people. I mean, if we didn't have that connection to the brand, then we would have, given it up in a heartbeat. We are that selfish about, the interest of a brand, and we'll always be. So every time, now it's a wave, and everybody wants to do that kind of work. But I see a hell of a lot of brands getting it wrong.
Okay,
just
absolutely.
Yeah, it's about the how, right? It's not about
No
whether
doubt.
it's wrong. It's how you're doing it. The first guys to do it was Nike. Yeah? Like Black Lives Matter happened in 1983 when they did Just Do It, saying that they don't let you into their schools, they don't let you into their neighborhoods, they don't let you into their clubs, but the road is wide open, just do it. That's the first time that a brand said, I will pick on a context that is relevant to a majority.
Sure.
That's
At this
the point.
point,
It's really about authenticity. I think all these fads will come and go.
That's a
There
great
will
point.
always be leaders and followers. I think globally, not just in India, but even in India to a very accelerated extent, I think people see through, who's real and who's fake, who's opportunistic and who really believes. And I think the brands which will, again, it's not about the 3 months. It's really about the consistency of it. It is really finding what is your voice, what is your purpose, and are you living it through it? And it's not just about advertising either. It's about everything, all touch points, whether it is your product, the way you serve customers. It's everything put together.
Yeah,
as Pratyusha pointed out, TV is transparent like that. You can see through
I think there is another element. I just wanted to weigh in on the previous point. I think, earlier I had a lot of hypotheses, and now last year or so that I've been in Flipkart, I can see the entire funnel, right? I can see, what is people's interest and desire right down to what actions they're taking in terms of which brands and what categories they buy. I think there is generations of conditioning that has happened. And it's not just TV. I'm actually enlarging and, making that landscape a bit wider, and I'm including OTT also in that. I think the lean back consumption of content, right, which happens on TV and OTT, there is a conditioning that has happened that when I'm leaning back and consuming entertainment, messages will come and I consume, and that will, impact my brain in a certain manner, etc. I think when we have tried to do a similar thing in lean in, very personalized kind of spaces like, my social media feed, or, when I'm going into my phone and I'm looking at a YouTube video, or I'm going into my social media feed, etc. I don't want advertising. I'm looking for a specific thing, let me get on with it. So I have seen with data, the effectiveness of trying to do some of those things on digital versus TV, it's vastly different. I think the ROIs of TV are in multiples better than when you try to do the same job on digital. Where digital works very well is on lower funnel, and for the businesses which actually fulfill on digital, if you try to take people who are already positively inclined towards it, you want to just give them the last nudge to sort of go and buy, that's where digital really starts impacting.
Glad you say that because it's a great time then to take this question from the audience. I'll just read it out. OTT consumption has soared since March. Do broadcasters need to worry about premium brands / top of the pyramid advertisers shifting the advertising spend to streaming? Pratyusha, you can also jump in.
Sure.
Because, yeah.
So, just this thing. I'll just give the numbers and then I talk about how it's working. Interestingly, even one thought there would be a massive surge on OTT, etc. So if you look at the surge on TV, from 4 hours, it went up to a 4 hours, 48 minutes, almost a 5-hour high, and settled at almost 4 hours, 6% greater than pre-lockdown levels.
Mm-hmm.
Because digital VOD had only moved from a 32 minutes to a 35 minutes. That, mobile has still been used a lot more for connecting with the world rather than how Vikas is saying, I want to lean back and be entertained. That's still not happening at the scale that one would think it will happen. Do remember that this is the time when the both bandwidth have gone into extreme stress. Everybody is back at home, right? Mm-hmm. And this is a privileged lot which will have 4G, 5G bandwidths. So it's not that thinking that what I see in the 0.01% of the universe is what's happening in the rest of India is a bad idea. Mm-hmm. Coming back to then, hence, what is I think the thing which Vikas kind of mentioned, right? How are you seeing the funnel, and when are you talking to the consumers at with different media? Think of it this way: in the old world, before digital wasn't there was direct marketing, right? There used to be a huge space of direct marketing. There used to be papers, envelopes which used to come home, or those coupons which used to come home. That entire thing is now gotten substituted by digital, which is, and we've used it ourselves, right? When we've done the entire work on TV, we use it for the last hour reminder. We remind on my social media saying, listen, this serial is going to start, go watch now. So how we using these two in conjunction is more critical than this versus that story. Each has a role to play. And I think smart marketers will figure how to play the twin strategy on both screens. And
absolutely. Yeah, because
I think what OTT gives you is, so I believe they are very replaceable because of the lean back side of things that I was just talking about. I think the additional advantage OTT gives you is you can customize, you can target. There could be real time, first party targeting, etc. Things which which appear like an ad, like you said. TV पे भी आ गया, mobile पे भी आ गया. मतलब IPL पे आप देख रहे हो, but what you don't know is only you are watching it, nobody else is watching it. So I think OTT gives you all the benefits, in my opinion, of TV, and there is an increasing incidence where people are actually watching OTT on television rather than watching it on mobile, and that trend is going to increase further. So I personally think between TV and OTT, marketeers should treat them almost in a similar manner, and wherever the eyeballs are, the money should move there, at least for the top of the funnel kind of actions, awareness, interest, desire.
Okay.
Just one small thing I wanted to add.
Yeah.
In fact, it's very interesting what Vikas mentioned, right? So even in OTT, you see across our OTTs, you see a lot of that consumption is the TV serial consumption. So the same person who's watching Kumkum Bhagya on TV in the linear mode is also going to OTT and watching. So this whole safe environment on digital, the video environment on digital, if you're doing a sharp targeting, then I can actually say, I'm going to catch this person on TV, then I'm going to catch this person on OTT, and your frequency of exposure in a safe environment is increasing. And I think sharp shooting like that across 2-3 screens, we even engage with them on the social media, right? So it's the same Kumkum Bhagya affined audience or a Saregama affined audience on TV, OTT, and the social platform, then makes your point very, very convincingly to the consumer.
Okay. There is another question related to the same subject. Anirban wants to ask Vikas, maybe even Vivek can come in here. While on digital, you can measure absolutes in terms of reach and conversions. Do you think TV lacks data considering it's still based on sampling? What's your view on return path data from TV?
Okay, I don't want to diverge details, but there are tools now available where you can measure first-party effectiveness even on TV. And although I personally don't want to go that path because I do believe that it's a gray zone between data privacy and sort of having all the data as a business person and measuring it. But I've seen that data. I've seen that data across multiple campaigns, multiple objectives, and that was part of my assessment when I said that TV is absolutely brilliant when it comes to delivering a high impact, high ROI on top of funnel actions.
Okay, Vivek, why don't you answer that question as well, and the previous one if you wish to.
No, so this is an interesting one. See,
Yeah.
and it's a classical debate between is what is not measurable, is it not valuable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I agree that in digital, once you have, you can measure awareness and you can quote on the funnel measuring every part, but that is very valuable. So the cost of reach in digital is high, but it's a very targeted reach. So your effectiveness in terms of the amount of business you get out of the consumer is high. So it becomes worth your while to do it. Now in television, yes, we can't measure everything, but television creates multiple purposes for a brand, which becomes effective when the same consumer is targeted with digital. Television creates awareness and need for a category often earlier than digital in many categories, by and large. Okay, it creates a sense of acceptance and legitimacy of a brand. This is an acceptable brand. This is a known brand. And thirdly, I think before we target the same customer on digital, what we call brand affinity and emotional engagement with the brand is often built through television, because you can tell better stories in a customized way on digital and have a dialogue with the consumer. So yes, we can measure engagement and affinities built through television through various researches, but it would not be entirely fair to compare measurability of digital with non-measurability of certain aspects of TV and say, look, they are not valuable. Each medium performs a different role for the brand at different stages of the brand, at different cycles and stages of consumer purchase. So it's not a fair comparison, but it all depends on brand. For example, I'll take example of Dr. Fixit, right? We do a lot of highly effective performance marketing for Fixit for people who are in the stage of home repair or home construction. But when that person has already seen and accepted Dr. Fixit as a reputed brand through years of advertising on television, his chances of coming into my funnel and getting converted is far higher. Okay, so there is a role. Yes, there are other things we can measure. I would say it has to be a calculated balance between these two mediums, and depends on your brand. There's no simple straight answer to this.
Okay. Then maybe Amir and Josie can answer the next one. There is a question about the syntax of advertising on TV and whether it's going to be far more about call to action between now and December than about brand building. That, hey, consumer, go and do this, buy this, don't do this, than long-term brand building. What do you have to say to that?
I think it's a great question, because I think it is going to be about immediacy. It is going to be about action. Every brand is going to be a startup with a bit of nostalgia behind it. And so I think, and therefore it will operate like an immediate results kind of approach on TV. That's what we're seeing. I mean, we wish it wasn't that, but that's because people are not thinking long-term right now. They're thinking about the here and now. And so you got to have that urgency in your messaging as well.
That's interesting. Amir, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think Josie is right. There's, I mean, I made this point at the beginning of my, in my opening remarks as well, that there's going to be both brand building and I feel a lot of immediacy sort of work. But I want to say that, how we look at ourselves, it's a completely different point from what was being made here. But I want to make this point, and I think the point is very, very relevant to television. I think all brands also have a responsibility towards, the country, right? The time that we have all gone through, there's just not it's not just about brand building. It is also about nation building, and nation building is going to impact and sort of be useful for all of us. So I think revival of the economy towards rebuilding the country, that's extremely important. And I think marketers all should take cognizance of this fact and actually contribute, because finally, as marketers, as brands, as advertising agencies, we've been taking, we've been benefiting from this huge, thriving, sort of amazing economy of ours. And, this is time to give back. So I feel that, some of us should take part in initiatives that are going to contribute to nation building. Pratyusha knows this very well. We are doing this huge initiative for migrant workers called Kam Vapsi. And Zee is partnering us with that. So that's very important for us as a contribution. And we are all, we've all been brand builders. We've all had huge stake in the country. And, it's time to sort of give back and, get the country to sort of come back on its feet in whatever manner possible. If it's about stimulating demand, or it's about helping migrant workers, or it's about some other kind of, consumer activity, all of this needs to be encouraged, and all of us need to actively participate. And the reason why I'm making this point here is because I do believe that television is a huge sort of impactful medium for this kind of activity too.
Well, that's a wonderful note to end it.
Just two quick points. See, I want to present an alternate point. So we are talking of immediacy and brand building as if they're in opposite directions. To me, it's not. It can be in the same zone. And let me tell you why immediacy, action orientation by brands is in the context of brand building. And the answer lies in two words: context and relevance. If immunity building products, I will take an example, or fintech products, they talk about immediacy of consumption of their products, but it's the context of the situation we have where it performs a role in the life of saving them, of saving their families in the future, for their health and for their economic safety. In that context, and message of immediacy is performing a role in their lives of consumer, and that's built the brand, because consumers thinks, oh, in these times the brand is relevant to me, so I have more equity with the brand. That's one. And I think nation building has to be looked at beyond advertising. A lot of brands are actually shouldering the responsibility of in these times of nation building in initiatives which are beyond television and mediums. So that's also other way to look at this whole subject.
Okay, great. Very quickly, in 60 seconds each, if Vikas and Vivek can answer this question about why TV hasn't become a medium for geo-targeting. Sankalp Dikshit wants to know. Like it was touted to be maybe a few years ago. So
geo-targeting as in location targeting.
Yeah, you can do geo-targeting.
Why hasn't geo-targeting of ads not boomed in TV as it was expected to do in the past, or the way it did on digital?
Geo, you mean Geo, the network?
No, you can actually
Geo-targeting of TV.
Split the satellite beam.
Yeah, I can split the satellite beam and advertise. I think, sorry, can I answer that as a media platform and why that doesn't happen? Sorry. So there are two things at play, right? One of, I would have to choose the split beam technology if my regional language channels are not thriving and communicating. But if you look at the way TV is played out, and especially we've been at the forefront of driving the regional channels in a big way, you have a huge amount of growth that's coming from local language channels, and the advertising and advertisers have now, I remember from my time where you made one ad and then did versions. Now there are separate campaigns and ads made for each cultural cohort. So that is taken off in a big way. The second, the split beam technology is being used, is being fairly actively used. In fact, we use it ourselves as Zee when we advertise on our HSM channels.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the cultural relevance when you advertise on a Marathi channel for the Marathi audience or a Tamil channel for the Tamil audience is way, way better. And that's what took off, and not so much the tech split beam side of it. I
Got it.
Answers your questions, Ankal.
But if I can just add to what you're saying, to answer the question, it's a brilliant question actually. But if as a marketer, I want to target beyond the state, city-specific targeting, then I have to use digital. And a lot of marketeers do that nowadays because we have city or zone or region cluster-specific marketing task. And that's something with this technology is not possible. So wherever possible, we also use this split technology and the regional channels of various TV channels to target. But when we have to target cities or specific part of states, you have to use digital, and that's possible.
Wonderful. Yeah, great. That's all we have time for, though we have many unanswered questions, but unfortunately we can't take them all. So thank you once again, panelists, for participating. Wonderful discussion. Thank you, audience, and big thank you to Nickelodeon, our presenting sponsor. Have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.